This is your barbell deadlift. Now the barbell deadlift seems like a pretty simple maneuver from the outside, but there's a lot going on here. So let's take a look at the points of this form here. So first things first, when we approach the bar, we're going to place our midfoot underneath the bar. I'm then going to use the texture of the bar, that sort of diamond grip and the smooth part, to determine that my feet are symmetrical in relation to the bar. So that way I know I'm also standing centered right in the middle of it. From here, I'm going to reach down. I'm going to keep my spine up nice and tall. I'm already kind of descending into a little bit of a deadlift motion here, this hip hinge. This hip hinge is really crucial to be able to understand before you're using the weight of the barbell. So be sure you've practiced doing this hip hinge freely without weight first. So I'm going to do a hip hinge. I'm going to kick it down, bend my knees. I'm going to grab the bar with my hands just outside the width of my knees. From here, my feet are screwed into the ground. I'm going to bring my shins forward so that they just touch the bar. Now, keeping my hips up nice and high, my spine neutral. This gets my hips into a nice, good position to initiate this lift. From here, with the bar gripped, the bar is right underneath my shoulders, but I'm still going to squeeze my shoulder blades back and down. Without picking up the bar yet, my shoulder blades are squeezing back and down, trying to get my shoulder blades into my back pockets there. With all of that engaged, now I'm going to drive and squeeze my abs, my glutes, my legs, get tension throughout my whole body, and then I'm going to drive straight up tall and with a nice neutral spine. From here, do not let your hips kick forward. You want to just come up all the way up tall, nice and neutral. Your hips are forward, but only to get neutral with the rest of your spine, not past in front of you. My shoulders are still squeezing back and down, keeping that form through my shoulders. At this point, I'm then going to begin my hip hinge back down. So I'm going to tilt forward with soft knees, but not totally straight, but just barely bent to soft. Tilting at the hips, spine is nice and long. I'm thinking about keeping a straight line through the back of my head and my tailbone kind of trying to get away from each other. The back of my head and my tailbone are getting away. Nice long spine with the knees nearly straight until I got a good stretch in the hamstrings there. Once I got a stretch in the hamstrings there, which is probably might be about the height of your knees, you're then going to bend your knees to finish the bar back to the ground. And that's one rep. With a deadlift, ideally we're going all the way to the ground and then back up from here. So keeping that same form, hips are nice and high, spine is nice and long, and then driving up through your legs all the way up tall, keeping the bar close to your body so that it remains just underneath the shoulders, and then all the way back down. The bar should travel in a perfectly vertical line. It should land right where you started. A good way to test that is to place a foam roller and stand it up vertically right next to the bar. And as that bar goes up and down, it shouldn't knock that foam roller. So I'm going to position my middle of my foot underneath the bar, symmetrically apart, somewhere between hip and shoulder width apart. You can have about 10 to 15 degrees of external rotation, turning your toes out a little bit. But that's a very small amount. It's not a huge amount. This is generally, what we're working on here is more of a little more of a narrow stance. So pretty much parallel. And then as I bend my knees are going to remain in line with the middle of my feet. And so as I go down to grab this bar, I'm going to set my form, put my shins on the bar, spine up through the back of my head, hips are high, nice and strong, and I'm going to drive up tall. And the whole motion should allow that foam roll to stay just barely untouched. I'm going to drive it right and set it back down, bending at the hips. Knees don't bust, knees don't bend until the hamstrings are tight, and then I descend the knees back down from there. And that there is your barbell deadlift.